body bags where horror lies.
Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to week 5 here on Body Bags. I am your host, Moodz616, and thank you once again for joining us here. Alrighty, so, October, and you know what that means? Theme month. In case you haven't noticed, it is Slasher Week here. We have decided that we're going to theme out every single week for the month, and of course, week 1 of October is Slasher Week, my favorite subgenre of horror. Always been such a big fan, grew up with this, and can never really get enough of them, so I'm always willing to seek out new ones and whatnot. So the film that I have on deck for y'all tonight is a relatively new slasher film. I think this one came out in 2011, it's saying on here. Released by Phase 4 Films. And it is a film called Wreckage. This is the unrated cut. I do believe you can actually get this in theatrical too. But yeah, this is the unrated cut of this one. Yeah, so getting into the plot of this one. It centers around 4 friends, which being 2 couples. They basically, they're heading out on the road just to, take out Buddy's car, do some road tripping a little bit. Doesn't really even specify where they're going, but they start racing with some dude on the road, and of course the car breaks down, because he was, in the beginning of the film, working on his car. And it breaks down, and they're kind of in between areas, like they're about 3 miles or 4 miles from the city, or they're about a mile from this junkyard. And they decide to go to this junkyard because they can probably find a part that they need for the car, which he needs like a gasket for his car. So they make their way to the auto wreckers or the junkyard, whatever you want to call it. And so they start looking around for a part for their vehicle. And basically what happens is an accident happens. One of the guys has a gun, and he just starts kind of shooting the gun around and stuff, and he accidentally shoots a bullet. He shoots a shot into a car, and it ricochets off and hits Buddy's girlfriend in the stomach. So she's fucking bleeding and dying right there. And so the main character, which is his girlfriend, he fucking books her back to town and goes and gets the cops. And when they arrive back, his girlfriend is gone along with the other 2 that were, left there with her. So everyone has disappeared, and now they're basically on a manhunt to try and find them, because they don't have a fucking clue what's going on. And of course everyone starts getting picked off one by one. But also in the beginning of the movie, they basically tell you that there's an escaped convict on the loose, which, kind of hinders towards, this con had just escaped from this prison, and that kind of gives, the idea that, this is probably who is, picking off these people one by one and stuff like that. And yes, of course, the cavalry shows up, the cops with this guy, with the main character, and at this junkyard, and they fucking start getting picked off one by one. Turns into a slasher film. My thoughts on this one. Honestly, well, let's start with the characters. The characters are actually pretty decent. The main character, which his name already escapes me, I'm so bad with names. He's like an ex-military person, and of course, it kind of works to his advantage here, because once the cops call in for backup, they bring in the big guns, and then it kind of turns into like an action slasher, but it turns into them hunting down the killer. And it's quite an interesting premise. The setting in the movie is really cool. Being in the junkyard, just all that heaps of car and wreckage and shit like that, and it's all set at nighttime. It adds a really kind of dark atmosphere to it. Very cool atmosphere. I thought it was really, really well done. Like I said, the characters are pretty decent. But this movie has flaws. Honestly, I picked out the killer right away in this movie. I mean, like I said, when I was giving off the plot, in the beginning of the movie, they have this thing where, there's an escaped convict, I mean, right there, it's not really a spoiler, but it's probably not going to be him, right? I mean, it's just way too fucking obvious. It doesn't even make sense. But, you know, the biggest problem with this movie, though, is actually the kills. You know, the one buddy's girlfriend there, when they first come back to the junkyard to find Buddy's girlfriend that's shot on the ground, the other girl that was with him is dead. She's actually hanging from a fucking tree. But it's totally off-screen. Most of the kills are off-screen. There's, like, basically no gore in this at all, which is such a disappointment. And yeah, and it just kind of it really all takes place in one spot in the you know, in this fucking junkyard. And of course, you know, shit goes down to the end, and then of course they try to pull off this twist at the end. Now, the way they did the twist in this movie, it totally feels like an afterthought to the movie. I mean, like I said, I picked out the killer right away in this one. But then they throw in this twist, and it doesn't actually make 100% sense why, like, the way they developed this twist in the end. You know, it totally seems like an afterthought. It doesn't even seem like it needs to be there. They could have just went with half of what they did in the twist and not, like, the full thing. It didn't really make a lot of sense. I understood what they were trying to do, but having the twist after the events of that night, if they had to put the twist in the actual night, not after everyone's been to the hospital and been, like, you know, treated and stuff, it probably would have worked a lot better. But I don't know, you know, overall it was a decent watch. If they had cut, like I said, if they had cut out that fucking twist at the end, it would have been a lot better. But, you know, overall, it's very average. I was really disappointed with the kills. You know, you watch slasher movies for the kills, yeah, you know, it was all right. It was all right. There was a little bit of comic relief from the junkyard kind of owner, the guy that takes care of it. He's like this real redneck hillbilly. He shows up because, of course, once they broke into the junkyard, it tripped the alarm, and he shows up, and of course he's automatically a suspect. You know, it's one of those deals. But you know it's not him right away. But there was a little bit of comic relief with him. He was kind of creepy looking and funny, but it made for a pretty decent watch. You know, it runs about 86 minutes. It's okay. If I had to rate this one, I'd probably, you know, just give it a pass. I'd give it a 5 out of 10, you know. Just strictly for the fact that they did try. You can tell that they put in the effort in this movie. Came up a little short. Like I said, the twist kind of doesn't really ruin things. It doesn't need to be fully there at the end. It's just the placement of the twist doesn't make fucking sense. But it's an interesting type of slasher. It's not your typical just slash and, you know, dice, you know, kind of film. It has a little more elements to it, which is kind of interesting. But if you're not an avid slasher fan, skip this one. If you really do like your slasher fans, and you go in with, you know, minor expectations, you might actually dig this one. So, but like I said, though, the kills are a disappointment. Anyways, I'm rambling on. I'm sure this review's gone on way too long. That is Wreckage. So, week 5 here on Body Bags. We will be back tomorrow with another theme, and I'll give you a little hint. It's zombies. Anyways, yeah, I'll see you next Sunday with my review of a zombie film. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing, so. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching and subscribing and commenting. Peace out, homies.